Hi friends, and welcome to my channel Indus Educare. And in this video we are going to see MCQ questions from the static portion on Indian polity part 1. So let's begin. The first is, in which of the following cases the six rights guaranteed by Article 19 can be suspended? First, external aggression. Second, internal emergency. Third, when martial law is in force. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 1 and 3 only. And option D is 1, 2 and 3. The correct option is option C, 1 and 3 only. Next, which of the following rights is or are available to foreigners in India? First, right to education. Second, right to information. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both. And option D, none. The correct option is option A, 1 only. Next, Article 21 declares that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. The protection under Article 21 is option A, against arbitrary legislative action. Option B, against arbitrary executive action. Option C, both option A and option B. And option D is none. The correct option is option C, both option A and option B. Next, which of the following statement or statements is or are correct? First, right to information is a fundamental right enshrined in the Article 19 of 1 of the Constitution. Second, Supreme Court of India is not under the purview of RTI Act. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both. And option D, none. The correct option is option A, 1 only. Next, Article 32 confers the right to remedies for the enforcement of the FR, that is, fundamental rights of an aggrieved citizen. Consider the following statements with respect to Article 32. The first statement is, Parliament can suspend this right during national emergency. And the second is, only Supreme Court shall have the power to issue writs for the enforcement of any of the FR. The correct statement or statements is or are option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both. And option D is none. The correct option is option D, none. Next, which of the following rights is or are enshrined in Article 21? No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. First statement is a right to speedy trial, and the second is right against delayed execution. The correct option is option C, both. Next, which of the following writs can be issued against administrative authorities? Option A, prohibition, certiorari, and mandamus. Option B, certiorari and mandamus. Option C, prohibition and mandamus. And option D, prohibition and certiorari. The correct option is option B, certiorari and mandamus. Next, The directive principles were made non-justiciable and legally non-enforceable because Statement 1. The country did not possess sufficient financial resources to implement them. And number 2. There was widespread backwardness in the country that could stand in the way of implementation. Option A, one only. Option B, two only. Option C, both. And option D is none. The correct option is option C, both. Next, which of the following statement or statements is or are correct? First, the directive principles are meant to establish political democracy. Second, the directive principles are meant to establish social democracy. And the third is the directive principles are meant to establish economic democracy. Option A, one only. Option B, two and three only. Option C, one and three only. And option D is one, two, and three. The correct option is option B, two and three only. Next, which of the following statement or statements is or are correct? First, fundamental rights enjoy legal supremacy over directive principles. Second, the Parliament can amend the fundamental rights for implementing the directive principles. Option A, one only. Option B, two only. Option C, both. And option D is none. The correct option is option C, both. Next, in which one of the following council acts established the DRG system first in the states? Option A, Pitt's India Act of 1774. Option B, the Indian Council Act of 1958. Option C, the Indian Council Act of 1919. And option D, the Government of India Act of 1935. The correct option is option C, the Indian Council Act of 1919. Next, decentralization is the best feature of which one of the following governments? Option A, unitary government. Option B, monarchy. Option C, military government. And option D, federal government. The correct option is option D, federal government. Next, under which of the following acts indirect election system was started during the British government in India? Option A, the Indian Charter Act 1833. Option B, the Indian Council Act of 1892. Option C, the Indian Council Act of 1909. And option D, the Indian Council Act of 1919. The correct option is option B, the Indian Council Act of 1892. Next, which Council Act of India is known as the Morley-Minto reform? Option A, Indian Council Act of 1909. Option B, Indian Council Act of 1919. Option C, Indian Council Act of 1892. And option D is Act of 1873. The correct option is option A, Indian Council Act of 1909. Next, on the basis of whose recommendation the Constituent Assembly was formed? Option A, Simon Commission. Option B, Cabinet Mission. Option C, Cripps Mission. And option D, Raw Committee. The correct option is option B, Cabinet Mission. Next, in which of the following act had provisions of separate representatives for the Muslim community for the first time? Option A, Rowlatt Act. Option B, Pitt's India Act. Option C, Indian Council Act 1909. And option D, Indian Council Act 1919. The correct option is option C, Indian Council Act 1909. Next, dietary in states has been ended by the act of option A, Act 1872, option B, Act 1909, option C, Act 1919, and option D, Act 1935. The correct option is option D, Act 1935. Next, which one of the following reforms has provided the right to voting of females for the first time? Option A, Montagu-Chelmsford reform. Option B, Morley-Minto reform. Option C, Cripps reform. And option D, Christopher reform. The correct option is option A, Montagu-Chelmsford reform. Next, under which of the following acts India Council ended? Option A, Pitt's India Act 1784. Option B, Charter Act 1813. Option C, Indian Council Act of 1909. And option D is the Government of India Act 1935. The correct option is option D, the Government of India Act 1935. Next, two countries, India and Pakistan, was formed by the act of option A, Act 1935, option B, Act 1942, option C, Act 1946, and option D, Act 1947. The correct option is option D, Act 1947. Next, according to the first article of Indian Constitution, India is a option A, group of states, option B, union of states, option C, federation of states, and option D, division of states. The correct option is option B, union of states. Next, which one of the following is called the soul of the Indian Constitution? Option A, the preamble. Option B, fundamental rights. Option C, directive principles of state policy. And option D, right to constitutional remedy. The correct option is option D, right to constitutional remedy. Next, who among the following was the finance minister in the Provisional Cabinet? Option A, Jagjeevan Ram. Option B, Liaquat Ali Khan. Option C, John Mithai. And option D is Abdul Nastar. The correct option is option B, Liaquat Ali Khan. Next, who among the following was the constitutional advisor to the Indian Constituent Assembly? Option A, Dr. B. N. Rao. Option B, Dr. B. R. Ambedkar. Option C, K. M. Munshi. And option D, M. C. Setalwad. The correct option is option A, Dr. B. N. Rao. Next, the Constitution Day of India is celebrated on option A, 26th January, option B, 26th October, option C, 26th November, and option D, 15th August. The correct option is option C, 26th November. Next, concept of fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution has been taken from which country? Option A, Russia. Option B, United States of America. Option C, Australia. And option D, Germany. The correct option is option B, United States of America. Next, in which of the following schedules of the Constitution is defined the administration of scheduled castes? Option A, 4th schedule, option B, 5th schedule, option C, 6th schedule, and option D is 7th schedule. The correct option is option C, 6th schedule. Next, how many subjects has been included in the concurrent list at present? Option A, 47 subjects. Option B, 52 subjects. Option C, 61 subjects. And option D is 97 subjects. The correct option is option B, 52 subjects. Next, in which schedule of the Constitution has Panchayati Raj included? Option A, 9th schedule. Option B, 10th schedule. Option C, 11th schedule. And option D is 12th schedule. The correct option is option C, 11th schedule. Next, in which year were the Indian states organized on the linguistic basis after independence? Option A, 1947. Option B, 1952. Option C, 1956. And option D, 2002. The correct option is option C, 1956. Next, in which schedule of the Constitution 22 Indian languages have been mentioned? Option A, 2nd schedule. Option B, 4th schedule. Option C, 6th schedule. Option D, 8th schedule. The correct option is option D, 8th schedule. Next, in which one of the following parts of the Constitution fundamental rights have been mentioned? Option A, Part 2. Option B, Part 3. Option C, Part 4. And option D is Part 5. The correct option is option B, Part 3. Next, which among the following parts of the Constitution is known as the Magna Carta of India? Option A, Part 3. Option B, Part 9. Option C, Part 12. And option D is Part 15. The correct option is option A, Part 3. Next, a judge of the Supreme Court may resign his office by writing to option A, the President. Option B, the Prime Minister. Option C, the Law Minister. And option D is the Attorney General of India. The correct option is option A, the President. Next, in order to be chosen a member of Lok Sabha, a person must not be less than the age of option A, 18, option B, 21, option C, 25, and option D is 30. The correct option is option A, 18. Next, which one of the following articles of the Constitution directs the state government to organize the Panchayats? Option A, Article 31. Option B, Article 33. Option C, Article 40. And option D is Article 48. The correct option is option C, Article 40. Next, the concept of the directive principles of the state policy, that is DPSP, has taken from which country? Option A, USA. Option B, South Africa. Option C, Ireland. And option D, Russia. The correct option is option C, Ireland. Next, which among the following princely states was merged in India by police action? Option A, Junagadh. Option B, Hyderabad. Option C, Jammu Kashmir. And option D is Madras. The correct option is option B, Hyderabad. Next, Under which one of the following articles of the Constitution the Parliament can change the name, boundaries of the state or particular region? Option A, Article 3. Option B, Article 36. Option C, Article 368. And option D is Article 371. The correct option is option A, Article 3. Next, in which part of the Constitution fundamental rights are mentioned? Option A, Part 3. Option B, Part 4. Option C, Part 8. And option D is Part 11. The correct option is option A, Part 3. Next, which part of the Constitution is described about the election? Option A, Part 12. Option B, Part 13. Option C, Part 14. And option D is Part 15. The correct option is option D, Part 15. Next, Indian citizenship can be ended if a person, option A, leaves citizenship by self. Option B, accept citizenship of other countries. Option C, on snatching citizenship by the government. And option D is all of these. The correct option is option D, all of these. Next, under which the constitutional amendment a right to property was taken away from the fundamental rights? Option A, 42nd Constitutional Amendment. Option B, 44th Constitutional Amendment. Option C, 46th Constitutional Amendment. And option D, 48th Constitutional Amendment. The correct option is option B, 44th Constitutional Amendment. Next, which among the following articles are provided a right to freedom? Option A, Article 14 to 18. Option B, Article 19 to 22. Option C, Article 23 to 24. And option D is Article 25 to 28. The correct option is option B, Article 19 to 22. Next, which of the following fundamental rights is or are not provided for foreigner citizens? Option A, equality before the law. Option B, right to freedom of expression. Option C, right to life and personal liberty. And option D, right against exploitation. Correct option is option B, right to freedom of expression. Next, in which article of the Constitution freedom of press has been included? Option A, Article 14A. Option B, Article 19A. Option C, 21A. And option D is Article 51A. The correct option is option B, Article 19A. Next, in which amendment of the Constitution a right to property was taken away from the list of fundamental rights? Option A, 42nd Constitutional Amendment. Option B, 44th Constitutional Amendment. Option C, 61st Constitutional Amendment. And option D, 73rd Constitutional Amendment. The correct option is option B, 44th Constitutional Amendment. Next, under which article makes the right to education for children of the age group of 6 to 14 years a fundamental right? Option A, Article 21A. Option B, Article 24. Option C, Article 48A. And option D, Article 51A. The correct option is option A, Article 21A. Next, which of the following articles can be suspended during the emergency? Option A, Article 20. Option B, Article 21. Option C, Article 24. And option D is option A and option B. The correct option is option D, option A and option B. Next and the last. In which constitutional amendment right to education for children of the age group of 6 to 14 years has been made a fundamental right? Option A, 72nd Constitutional Amendment. Option B, 82nd Constitutional Amendment 2002. Option C, 86th Constitutional Amendment 2002. And option D is 92nd Constitutional Amendment. And the correct option is option C, 86th Constitutional Amendment 2002. Thank you and good luck, friends.